Hey guys, Stellar Christoph here for another Elestrals video and another deck build. So today we're going to do Penterror Water, as you guys see on the title. This is an idea that I've heard through, I think Billy Trisha was one of the first ones to say it. So I think he's part of Caster's Corner, I do believe. Um, I have not seen a video on the deck list. I have not taken this deck list from anybody else. This is roughly my idea. The main concept is you're going to bring out Penterror, which is a 3-cost wind, 15 attack, 8 defense, but it's misenchanted. So water is one of the best elements for nexusing. They have a lot of receive effects. They have some nexus effects, but then also Poseidon, the divine rune, is only for nexusing. Its actual effect is to nexus water. So the whole point is to move spirits around the field, get enough spirits on field, and then power through to Penterror. So we're going to go through the deck list. Elestrals, runes, spirits. There is no side deck for this, not right now. I have not come up with one, so ironically I am wearing the Watercaster shirt. We are Thundercasters in this house, but you know, gotta represent water. I am a Cancer, so you know we gotta represent when we do it. So let's go ahead and go through the Elestrals first. This has, I believe this list is 17 Elestrals. So starting right off the bat, we're gonna have ourselves our Penterror. And this, we did, of course, go with the full art version of this card. Why not, right? Kickstarter. Again, 15 attack, 8 defense, 3 cost. So it is going to come out misenchanted, which its ability only is when it gets destroyed, it brings out the Hydrax and Twindros. So with this deck, that doesn't really fit. So there are 2 of those. Next up, we're going to have our 3 of Galaxy. So playing Galaxy with Penterror is going to be a little disadvantage for us. Because it's going to flip-flop the attack and defense, but at the same time, that's still an 8 attack without Atlantis on the field, or if Galaxy isn't even on the field to begin with. So we do have 3 of those, though. Edward, we do have 3 of these in the deck. This is just a really good water card, guys, or in general, it's just a really good card to be able to flip the position of any Elestra on the field. Works out very well. So definitely having 3 of those. Again, pair with Galaxy, not the best move, but there's ways we're going to work around that. We just really need to pay attention to our field and the combos we're doing. Next up is going to be Dratagua. Dratagua is a staple in a lot of water decks. When it receives a water, you heal 2. And you can use that effect multiple times a turn. So again, we do have a lot of nexusing going on in this deck, so we should be able to heal off pretty well. But we have 3 of those. Next up, we're going to have 2 Aphoros. Aphoros' effect is nexuses, and then when it does, whoever receives those nexus, however many spirits you moved, you get to draw that many cards. So you can draw up to 2 cards every time you use Aphoros' effect. Next up is going to be Foamy. Foamy is a really good card. When it gets destroyed in battle, you can search your deck for a 1-cost water and play it in defense mode. So again, able to power through and get something else out on the field, and then hopefully bring out your Penterror. And last but not least is Tadpuff. Now, a lot of people are not a big fan of the Tadpuff. The reason it's in this deck is because you can expend water to special cast it into attack mode. So my thought process is expend to special cast it, Nexus onto it for however, whether you're doing Alter Stars, which is in this deck, by the way, Aphoros, or if you're going to use Poseidon's effect, Nexus a Spirit onto it, and then you can still ascend that turn into Penterror. So that's the lineup for Elestrals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So that means the runes, we will have a total of 23 runes in this deck, which let's go ahead and start going through that. First off is going to be the Ambrosia, staple in every single deck. If you guys are new to Elestrals, your spirit deck, it's your life, it's your resource. You can't do anything without spirits. So you want to make sure you always have at least 2, if not 3 copies of Ambrosia in your decks. I'm only running 2 in this deck because I have the 3 Drataguas. Next up is going to be our Earthquake. Earthquake is a card that was limited to 1 per deck, so we do have the 1 in here. The other card that was limited was Resting on Your Laurels. I didn't see a point having that in here because that has to do with spirits on field. So most likely in most of the game, I plan on having more spirits on the field than my opponent. All right, next up you're going to have this is all going to be our counter runes next. So we have triple Tsunami in this deck. Again, we are running water, so you should definitely be running 2, if not 3 in this deck. It switches all non-water enchanted Elestrals to defense mode, so every Elestral in my deck is water enchanted. Gorgon's Gaze. So we have 3 of these. This basically shuts off one Elestral on the field. It can be mine, it can be my opponent's, whatever you want to do, but it's going to shut down their effects. So that also works going into combat. So for instance, against me, my opponent would use Gorgon's Gaze on the Galaxy to shut off the switching attack and defense stats, or the special ability that card has. But again, you can stop your opponent from activating effects, you can stop them from changing battle positions. Say I'm going into an opponent that plays Sonic Core. The second they draw their first card, I can play Gorgon's Gaze. They can't send the Sonic Core that turn. Just different scenarios like that you could use this card with. Next is Altar of Stars. I do have 3 of these in here, and then shout out to the tournament pack because I do have one of those arts in here as well. You're going to Nexus a Spirit. So again, this whole deck revolves around getting water spirits on the field and moving them around. But then also I get to change a battle position on the field when I do. Shield of Achilles. I have 2 of these. Not a very good card to have. Normally I would have PTA in this deck, but I'm more inclined just bouncing the cards back pretty much in this game. I definitely wanted the altars in here as well, just to move those other spirits around, especially with Drautago out, constantly putting an extra spirit on him and healing every turn that I can. And the last counter rune is going to be Argo. Basically, when attack is declared, I can search my deck for an artifact rune. There we go. Sorry. Search my deck for an artifact rune, which it says on the card anyway. But then I'm going to play that card, which you're going to see why here in a moment when I get to that card. We have Double Atlantis. Again, this is a water deck, so you want to have the Water Stadium rune handy. Poseidon, we're going to have 3 of these, and then shout out to the Statue Divine. But again, you can put up to 4 spirits on it when you play this card, and then its special ability is once a turn, you can Nexus 1 spirit off of it. So again, good to have to try to get that Penterror out. Trident of Poseidon. So this is the main reason we talked about for Argo. So I can search my deck for this equipment, for this artifact, but it's going to give my whatever Elestral +2 attack, and then they cannot be targeted by counter runes. And then as long as Poseidon's on the field, my opponent can't even cast counter runes at all. So this is the term for this is Trident locking your opponent. So that's what we're going to try to do. So the Argo is going to search for that. I have one more card in this deck that lets me search for artifacts. Hephaestus. This is a 1-of in this deck. And I have the 1 fire spirit to go with it because its effect is you disenchant 1 fire to search for an artifact and add it to your hand. So this is just a 1-of. We're gonna see how it goes. It didn't go too bad, but we'll see how it goes into the future. But I thought this was a kind of cool idea, something my opponent's not expecting. You don't see many decks that run multiple divines, so this is gonna be one of those few decks. And again, it's been going okay. We'll see how it goes. But the fact if we're trying to try and lock our opponent, then this is a good way to search that card. So that's your main deck. Again, lots of nexusing going on. With the Drautago has lots of healing going on as well. Aepharos able to draw cards, so that works out good. We didn't have to worry about adding like a Nectar of the Gods, which is going to cost you too. Now we get to do it basically for free as long as spirits are on field. Last but not least, we're going to go over the spirits. Very simple spirit math in this deck, which I'm all for. Simple spirit math. 2 Terratlas for our Earthquake, 1 Vipyro for our Hephaestus, and then 17 Leviathans. Makes math very easy mid-game. I know there are some decks that run 3, 4, even 5 spirits. I will tell you myself, I am not good at doing those kind of games. So we will not be doing that here today. Side deck option, again, there hasn't really been a side deck to think about, so that's something we might cross in the future. And then also preparing you guys, if you do decide to copy this deck, if you do decide to make this deck, Lunar is the exact polar opposite of this deck. Lunar is the bane of this deck's existence. Able to suppress and shut down effects will ruin this deck. So just straightforward to you guys, if you know you're going up against a Lunar caster, when they're going to have their Specterrors, their Dense Fogs, just stay away. Do not use this deck. Other than that, like I said, playtesting did seem very well. Surprisingly, I didn't get Penterror out that often. I'd say about half the games I didn't even see Penterror. But the games I was able to get it out, I think at one point I had 10 spirits on field, and I had my opponent Trident locked. Like the combo went off perfectly. everything obviously is situational. Just keep that in mind as you guys are playing this deck. But the fact that we're at a spot in the meta that we can play Penterror in our deck, even two of, and actually get it out and start owning our opponent, very good to have. Keep in mind, you're going to have your Shield of Achilles, which will send it back to the hand. Altar Stars can still switch its position. The good news is the removal cards have been limited. So Resting on Your Laurels and Earthquake, your opponent's only going to have one of each of those. But flip that over. Now they're going to be running Boom Bats. So be prepared that your card might get boom batted. Which again, that's why we did two of them. And then that's why we have so much healing involved in this deck. Dratagora times 3, that's healing 6 just on the summons. 2 Ambrosias, that's another 6. So you're healing 12 just on there, not to mention all the Nexus thing you're going to do onto Dratagora. So there's no reason why, again, they call it water stall. You'll be able to water stall your opponent and then get your big man out. And again, that's why we also did 2 of the Trident of Poseidons, just to make sure we can try and lock our opponent. That being said, guys, my name is Stella Christoph. If you are new, please go ahead, like the video, comment down below what you think. If you are new also to the channel, please subscribe. Recently, we just hit 500 subs, and now we're shooting toward 1,000. That is the next biggest goal on this channel. My name is Stella Christoph. I appreciate every single one of you guys, and I hope you all have a stellar day. See ya. For the gods,